Hi, I'm back. So this time we'll be talking about the second E in the Triple E framework, and that is enhancement and how music first most definitely does enhance learning. So when we get started, I have my little notes here to help me and guide me out. So the first question is, does the technology tool aid students in developing or demonstrating a more sophisticated understanding of the content, or i.e. creates opportunity for production and creations? And I'm most definitely going to say yes, because there are two applications within the software within itself that let students create things. One is Soundtrack for Education. So that is more so a digital audio workstation, a DAW, where they're able to record, edit, make beats, audio engineer, even podcast their ideas. So creation is probably the best thing for students to understand a certain concept, especially when it comes to composing. So I would say Soundtrack for Education. And the next one is Note Flight, where it's more so the traditional right of composition, so notating notes and creating pieces. So I would say these two applications most definitely aim to have students create things instead of consuming it and just sitting behind a computer and just collecting data. So the next question is, does the technology create scaffolds to make it easier to understand concepts or ideas? I'm going to say somewhat, because the teacher can honestly, I think, behind music first for the classroom, make assessments that gauge the student's knowledge, like so previous information they're learning or current information. She can set the difficulty. There are certain apps such as Sight Reading Factory where you can set the difficulty and learn, and also just scaffold. There's another one called Focus on Sound, which is an encyclopedia, a music encyclopedia. So all the other sounds that you may be learning in class, and you have that auditory representation to help you with that. So I would say somewhat, only because those are the only qualities that I can gauge from that. It may have more, but those are the ones that I have for that moment. The third one is, does the technology create paths for students to demonstrate their understanding of the learning goals in a way that they could not do with traditional tools? And I'm going to say yes for this one too, because as you know, music education is all about staff paper, pencil, repetition, right? So not every student learns that way and collects information that way. So how can you do it? With Music First, it's a visual representation. And I have two. Focus on Sound, which I stated before, is a musical encyclopedia. Whether you're learning a sound, an instrument, composing, theory, that's a place to go for students to understand and learn from a traditional route, because some students may not understand drawing a million treble clefs or a million bass clefs or half notes and eighth notes and 16th notes over and over again. So they may need another form to understand the concept. Another one is Flat for Education, and I looked and it said that it's focused on notation. So notation is meaning like rhythm, focus on half notes, whole notes, any note that you are currently learning in the classroom right now. So it most definitely does make sure that students understand music in a versus in a traditional route. So having those applications that aid those students to understand, oh, this is what it is, this is what we're doing in class, except it's a less boring way, instead of just doing repetition and doing rhythm sheets and doing juries all the time. And the last is, how does it align with the elements of the standards, of the ISTE standards? So I came up with two. So the first one that I have is an empowered learner. And what I got from it is feedback to improve practice. And I have apps to prove that. So the first application is Music First Classroom, where that's giving constant feedback from the teacher's end. So a portfolio, assessment, class work, where students can go outside of class and understand, like, okay, what do I need to work on outside of class? The next one is Practice First. So this is for the performance ensembles. So playing an instrument, singing, all that jazz. So Practice First is going to give you feedback I think in real time, where if you play a note wrong or you're not doing a certain drill right, it gives you feedback in what you need to really work on. The second standard I have is knowledge constructor. And what I got is artifacts, right? Knowledge constructor, they're making their own artifacts. So assessments and projects via music first. So one that I have again is music first classroom. Those are the assessments, right? Those are the assessments that the teachers sign, even through the applications, because you are technically taking the assessment, and they do give you feedback, and that is an artifact that a teacher can collect. But another one is soundtrack for education and O generator, where you are making compositions and you are making songs, and O generator is making loops. You're having your students make loops. I forgot to mention too, I can add Note Flight in there because you're making your own compositions. So those are your artifacts that you're constantly getting. So you are a knowledge constructor. The things that you want to learn, the things that you're creating, you are constructing those elements. And the last question is, do you recommend this tool for teachers? Why or why not? I would say I would recommend it for teachers, most definitely, because it has everything that it needs on the teacher's end, such as making assessments, smooth classroom management skills. As I looked on the application, where they're able to make these lesson plans and guide students through, but also that students are able to learn in different ways. I was talking about the creation of students making things, so that's good for them to understand a rhythm or concept, thing that you're doing in class at the moment. So I most definitely would recommend this web tool for teachers, for music teachers, and it's crafted by music teachers, so why not? So it's aimed towards the right audience if you really think about it. But that is my information, or I could like to say my 2 cents about this application. And yeah, bye.